Yeah, so work in progress. This is the Carlton Mansions model of this tenement building that stands in the middle of Brixton. It's still standing. It was there before the riots, and it's still standing in 2021. It used to be apparently there used to be a whole block of other buildings of a similar sort of size, and they're all knocked down, and this was like the last one standing, and this only remained standing because the occupants, residents, set about painted a mural on the side to put it in the public eye and to raise awareness of this building, so that the building became a landmark of Brixton in 1980. So there's a mural on the side, see? Got Nuclear Dawn, which is currently, it's just been renovated. They've just been repainting it. So it's been restored to its former glory. And I believe that down here there's a bunker hiding from this nuclear holocaust, this bunker, and they've restored the original characters, which was the Tory leader of the Greater London Council, and Maggie Thatcher, and members of the royal family in that bunker. So I've been piecing this together. I mean, I've got various connections with this place because I might have told I painted the undercoat, I helped paint the undercoat to this, and it used to be around at Carlton Mansions quite a lot. Used to drop in there when I was in Brixton, and it was opposite the job centre, or well, the place where you went to sign on. They never had any jobs back in those days, thanks to Thatcher's economics. So yeah, more lately I've just been working on the roof, and sort of the roof was kind of a detail that I'd sort of I sort of sketched it in, but because it's sort of not what you focus on, I got it completely wrong. And I got this I've pieced this together from clips that were on that documentary film, and from aerial photos from Google, and this is sort of more of an approximation of what the roof looks like. And these little chimneys, these are made out of the tubes that dog poo bags are wrapped around in when you buy these green dog poo bags. So like one of the relevances of this building that sort of brings it sort of into my consciousness at the moment is this record here, which I was marginally involved with, was recorded in there. That's my old 8-track there on the cover of Caroline K. Mirrorball. The photos are taken in there, and I think Mirrorball was recorded there. It might have been recorded in Ilford Road. But anyway, these were taken, these photos on this picture disc, which came out in Mannequin Records in Berlin the other week. Those photos were taken in one of the rooms in this flat here. So yeah, so at one stage I had a photo of me looking out over these railings here, and I can't seem to find it. It seems to have been thrown out or something. But anyway, yeah, I've been working out the details of here, and the photo, it's this building over, I mean, I'm looking at the mid-80s, but it's not going to be all that accurate because the photos are taken at different ages and different stages of it, and I've not been there for years anyway. So what else? Yeah, so it's been on what's brought it into focus. I mean, apart from me sort of sticking and unsticking this bit here, which is like the stairs up to the roof there, and then this area here, the railings, which I've sort of simplified around the edges here, and these two chimneys, and typically strung between these chimneys would be a washing line and some washing, and there'll be some plant pots and things on the top of the roof here, which I'll put in there to give this sort of semblance of life and activity, and very much DIY activity that went on there. Yeah, sort of this Steve McQueen documentary, Uprising, which was about the New Cross massacre, the firebombing, that was just on the TV this week. So while that was going on, I mean, there was sort of odd clips of the area around here, so that sort of brought it back into focus. And the organising of the campaign about the New Cross massacre was done from Race Today, so there's some clips of the officers of Race Today. And I was thinking, you know, back in 1980, when I was doing my first records, I used to go into Race Today, because in those days you couldn't do typesetting on a computer. You had to get it done on these sort of golf ball machines, and they had one of these golf ball machines being a sort of a small press, small community newspaper. What was it called? Race Today, which was Darcus Howe was the editor there, and there was a small team there, very helpful people, and they for a very small fee they did the typesetting for the first few Sterile Records releases that I did, which were done on an absolute shoestring budget, and they featured very heavily in this Uprising film. And also there were scenes from here. I mean, there was, the job centre was like opposite here, so it would have been, it would have you back to it there, I suppose. And then there's clips of Desmond's Hip City, which was like over the other side of the railway bridge from there. And so while this New Cross massacre campaign was going on, and tensions were building up in Brixton, I mean, all that time I'm sort of going in and out of Carlton Mansions on my rounds, and they set, you know, they're putting gigs on there, and we actually put we did our first performances there. And I was like, while these momentous historical events were happening, I was thinking, well, you know, I was faffing about sort of trying to put my first record together and sort of putting my first gigs together, and this is like the context of it. It's ridiculous. These real really traumatic context, background to this I don't know what I was doing. It was in my head. It's a sort of piece of experimental music, I guess, a manifestation of experimental music. But you know, sort of it focuses, I suppose it focused some of the preoccupations in Tissue of Lies, which was my first record, was this preoccupation. I mean, this sort of nuclear dawn, I mean, that was really in the background, because there's track a limited Holocaust engagement, and at the time, you know, they were moving the cruise missiles into American air bases, and there's all this Cold War stuff going on, while there was this terrible inequities which really got worse within the ruins of Britain, because it had been exploited. The place has been exploited and worn out, and the effects of colonialism were that they got a cheap labour force, and they got the cheap labour force into these deprived areas such as Brixton, where they weren't putting any money into it or anything, and just using people as commodities. And like I say, everyone, I mean, there was all this increased National Front activity and these fire bombings, which is sort of documented in this documentary that's been on this week. I was thinking, like, must have been 1980. We're not the National Front were marching through Deptford, and I don't know if it was the one that was actually in this film, but we went out on this anti-Nazi League counter demonstration, and managed to get kettled at the Elephant and Castle for like most of the afternoon, and outside of London College of Printing. And if you sort of strayed out into the road away from this sort of place where they kettled all the anti-fascists, non-fascists by the police, you get arrested. So I mean, it's hard to comprehend the incredible level of racism there was in within the police force at that time, Metropolitan Police. Well, I think it came out in that film. So it's odd. I mean, these are sort of interlocked events, really, but I mean, it really influenced me in experimental music, because you know, these imageries of fascism, I mean, they're not sort of, it's not like a pose, you know, sort of, you don't use them to look big and clever and what's the word, edgelordy, you know, because these are real factors that are occurring in everyday life, and these are real dangers, because the buggers are out firebombing people just down the road, and it's quite shocking, really. But that sort of, I think that's what focused the very early Nocturnal Emissions material and sort of made it relevant. Was we couldn't help it being relevant because it was being made in this situation, and you'd have to be a complete zombie to switch that off and not take it on board.